Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel and another very quick, I hope, sketchbook doodle. And I'm going to dive straight in. It's getting late. It's actually Christmas Eve doing this. I finished work early at the gallery and I thought I'd come home and have a little play. And I just wanted to talk about these pens very quickly. Now, the ones that I've been using so far, or certainly the last sketchbook doodle that I did, were these ones. These are by a company called Noodler, and they are an American company. Now these particular ones you can't buy anymore. These I've had a good number of years, and they are called Conrad's. They are a line that they don't produce anymore, and I've had these for, as I say, a long time, and they've served me well. But I felt that I would splash out and get myself a couple of their latest ones or newer ones. Pretty patterns. They have so many different patterns to offer you. But these are called Ahabs. They're a much thicker pen, and I don't know, they just fit better in my hands and give me a bit more of a chance. Oh, throwing it around. But let's just take the ink out of there for a minute so I don't get really dirty with it. There you go. So I'm going to be using one of these, and on this pen I'm not using this ink, which can let go of the surface just a little bit. What I am actually doing is a waterproof ink, which is this one. And this one is Artramentis, the Artramentis. They call it document ink, but it doesn't have any ox gall in it, so it doesn't affect the pen badly, but it is a waterproof ink, so ideal for watercolor ink and washes. Okay, I'm going to dive straight in, and this is another snow scene. I'm sorry, it's cold weather and I feel like painting snow scenes, so there we go. Anyway, I'm going to just get straight on in with this one, and these pens really do work beautifully, and I'm so very pleased that I got these extra ones. Not to say that the ones that I had don't work at all. Of course they do. They work very, very well, in fact. I just thought that I would treat myself and get something that was new, up to date, and yeah, just see how it goes. I'm just going to play around and sketch out some of this. I'm actually going to alter it a little bit to the actual photograph. I feel that I can get away with that, and I'm going to put in, there's a little bridgy part there, so this is going to be very much a little river scene or a little dike, something of that nature, like that. And I'm changing its course a little bit to give myself a little bit more of a nice look to it. And then obviously it continues on the other side of that depression there, but it's all covered in trees and shrubs and lots of growth over here, and I'm just going to start scratching those in and just having fun. So as I said, it is actually Christmas Eve. Not quite sure when you'll get to see this video, probably a few days after Christmas. I do intend, actually, I've started this channel, well, the channel's been going quite a while, as you know, and but I really started taking it quite seriously about almost 6 months ago, the end of June, beginning of July, and I've been doing one video each and every week ever since that time, and I want to continue that process. So I have suggested to myself that I will forego 1 or 2 of my days over the Christmas holidays to make sure that I actually do still deliver that nice Friday video and my sort of latest endeavors in painting. And I feel that that's quite important, because I've started something and I just don't want to let that go. And that, you know, whether it's Patreon or whether it's the YouTube channel, I just feel it important that once I've created something to keep at it and keep delivering. Anyway, that's the idea. So there will be a video this Friday. That's if any of you are still around and possibly sober enough to enjoy it. I'm sure you've had a great time, and I hope your Christmases have been, or will be, hang on a minute, will be under current moments, but by the time you see this, past tense, I'm sure they've been a wonderful time. And if you have children, it is very magical. I remember having my own children, and yeah, and now I enjoy my grandchildren, and they come round a few days after the actual Christmas. I don't know about your own children and kids, but mine like to have their Christmas to themselves, and why not? It's a very, very special time, and their children are only young once, and it's so nice to be able to enjoy that very special time with them, and yeah, just have a whole lot of fun. I remember when I was a kid, Christmas Eve, right now we'd be getting sort of tea and getting ready for bed, and putting out our little pillowcases at the end of the bed, my sister and myself, and I could not sleep. I was a devil. I would not go to sleep. I was so bad, and I just kept my eyes open, wanting to see Santa, with the threats that if he saw me, he wouldn't leave any presents. That's what my parents told me. He's a very, very secretive man, they said, and excuse me, and yeah, so eventually I went to sleep, and then either myself or my sister would knock one or the other on the shoulders, and sort of wake the other one up and say, there's a whole sack full of stuff at the end of the bed. And then we would dive into our parents' bedroom and wake them up, and often it was the very wee hours of the morning. I do remember once that we actually went in about 2 o'clock in the morning. Heck knows what happened that year, but we were quite firmly told to go back to bed and come back later, as it were. But anyway, sorry, I'm digressing a little bit, but yeah, so Christmas was always a fun time for me, and a fun time for my sister too, and that is continued in our grandchildren respectively today. My sister has more grandchildren around than I do, and that's great for her. She has such a fantastic time reliving all of these lovely things that she had when her children were small and tiny and growing up, and I have a few grandchildren which I enjoy, and yeah, it's just a tremendous time. Anyway, I'm sort of carrying on with this little sketch, and as I was saying just now, that I am sure that your Christmas has been a wonderful time. I'm going to put a little culvert there, just a little dark shape to suggest that the water can go running through there. And there is a bit of snow laying in there. I'm going to leave that as it is, and then just suggest there's a little bit of grass or something just sticking out through on the other bank here. And I do need to suggest this bank, of course, to keep the river in. And there's one or two areas, and a little dark accent all the way around this bank here, a little dark edge to it, so that's going to run all the way around to that culvert there. And then I want to actually put something in here, so I'm going to put a little bit of weedy stuff, and just suggest one or two areas that are reflecting, and that suggests the water. Now you can tell it's Christmas, can't you? Because every 2 seconds there's an aircraft going overhead. Everyone's getting away for this Christmas festivities, and albeit that this is Christmas Eve night, and I'm sure that there is no let up from that, and everybody is clambering on their planes and looking forward to wherever they're going for the festive season, and going to meet up with families and enjoy kith and kin, and have a few celebratory drinks and mince pies or whatever it is they're going to have over the next few days, and have a thoroughly stonking good time. Anyway, enough. I'm looking forward to my Christmas dinner. My wife always does a splendid dinner for us, even though there's pretty much only ever two of us to enjoy it on the day. I'm going to put a big old fence post there. I'm going to let it stick up above there and give that a bit of scale. A lot smaller in the picture, but this is my picture, and I'm just going to add one or two as it goes down and away. I don't want to get it away too far. I'm going to sort of bring it up a little bit more actually, and let that go all the way down through there, and getting further and closer together as they disappear, like so. There you go, that's nice, I like that. And a few weeds and grasses that will obviously along the fence line where they can't be cut down by the farmer, and maybe just a couple of little wires that suggest that it's a stock fence. Like so, there you go, another one through there, another one there, and so on and so forth. Let that go all the way down like that. That's good. Now this is quite a moody sky, and actually this painting is done fairly late in the late afternoon one winter, and it is a place that's close to my heart in many ways. I do love the area. It's Brabourne actually, and there is a house just over my right shoulder as you were looking at this scene. A big old house that my wife in a former life, as it were, used to rent, and enjoyed that for some years, and it's part of a large estate, which is the Brabourne estate, and I know the owners, and they are lovely people, and yeah, as I say, she used to rent a house there from that estate many years ago now, and has very fond memories of living there, and it is a stonking house, it's got to be said. But there we go, and just a few nice reflections coming up, starting to come off of this tree, like so. Maybe my reflection's a little bit deeper. I better address that. Let's come in there and give this girth of this here a little bit more. There you go. I think that now works with the reflection. It didn't work before, but maybe it does now. And then I'm going to suggest this ground going away off over in this field, but there is a lovely thicket of trees that I've got to come in and be quite sort of dark, so I'm going to scribble in the mass more than anything else. There you go. And just going to tap in one or two marks just to suggest that there are other shapes than just this solidness, and that's going to be quite dark anyway when I put a wash in, so I'm not too worried about what that's doing. Just going to bring that over a little bit more. It's quite dark in this base. I do need to express that in the picture, so I'm going to nice edge here, so I don't want it scratchy around there. I don't want that edge all messed up, so I want it quite nice and undamaged. There you go. Quite a lot of thick paint going, ink going in here. That, oh dear, that was a lot. That was way too much. In fact, what I'm going to do is use a rough old brush, and that was a bit too much. I must have pressed too hard on the ink chamber, on the tines as it were, of the pen, so I'm just going to make that fairly dark in it. It really is dark anyway, so I can actually get away with that, but I will have to be a little patient and allow that to dry up. And I want to raise that actually, so I may as well use this brush to do just that and raise the shape up to a larger mass. Now I wouldn't have done this anyway normally, but because of what I created by being a little bit sloppy with a pen, has caused me to do this, and I may as well use this ink up and come in with this shape that runs all the way down through here and back down the field. And you can see that as I'm losing ink here, I am actually getting a little lighter, and it runs all the way through there. And I want to suggest that because obviously there is the shape of the field, and that goes up behind one lot and into the next line of trees and shrubs. Okay, I'm going to wash that out because I don't want anything drying up in that brush. It wasn't an expensive brush. It was quite an old cheaper brush, so I keep one or two of my sort of watercolor type brushes. I keep them back for things like ink washes and subtle paint areas that I would like to do. So I'm just going over this again and being a little bit careful. This is really the first time I've used this pen, so any sort of little idiosyncrasies, if that's the right word, that it happens to have or manifest, then now's the time for me to do it while I'm just doodling around. So there we go. Now I may as well, while I'm doing it, just keep the look the same. So I'm going to blend this in. It will lead me to another video actually, because there's one I'm planning to do using ink and brushes, so this is almost a great lead in for it. But I think you get the idea. Just wash that out one more time. I don't want anything drying up in that. And let's suggest where this line across here is going. There's several little areas of lights, and that actually comes down through this. I'm going to bring that forward a bit more. Sorry, I just changed the subject, but I need that to look about right in terms of distance, context. So I'm going to bring this up a little closer to the other tree and across this area here, so that gives a nice area to suggest the effect of that bridge. And it is a bridge, but the bridge is covered in snow, so you don't actually notice it, but it is there. And there's quite a little rough grass area. The grass is obviously a little thicker, and over here there is another tree branch coming in, but there really is no need to put that in. It doesn't serve any purposes, so I'm not going to bother. And I tell this to a lot of students when they are sketching from photos, as indeed I am right now, then unless a part of the picture that is in your photo serves a purpose, don't put it in. I mean, the point is that if you put it in and you don't really understand what it's showing or what it says, then how can you expect somebody else viewing your picture to fully understand what you're trying to render? So unless it brings something meaningful to the painting or the drawing or the composition, then I would suggest that it's best left out of it, and yeah, just move on. Okay, so I'm just tapping away with a few areas that are going to be grasses, and I'm going to put a little bit more light in this painting than the photograph suggests, and I will, as I normally do, put this up onto my Patreon page, so that if you're watching this video on YouTube, which you will be, then you can happily download that for free and use it in your way as you wish to. But I will tell you this, that it will be quite distinctly different to the painting that you're seeing me paint right now, so be aware of that anyway. But otherwise, yeah, go for it and enjoy. Just a little few marks across the top of the field there to suggest that. I'm not going to put anything in for the sky. I'm really going to let that paint itself. So to that end, I finished with the drawing. I'm not going to do any more. And we're going to get on straight into the painting. I've got rather dirty hands, which is not always a good thing. And I'm going to use, anyway, let's get into the painting before I lose the plot completely. So I've got to wait for this to dry. So I'm going to come back when this has dried. Okay, let's crack on. Now, there is going to be a little bit of warmth on this. I had to let that dry, but I just wanted to put a little bit of warm wash over these bushes. They're just catching the end of the light over the back there, and I think that's just nice to suggest that in this. So I'm literally going over the whole thing here with this warmth. Doesn't want to be much, but I'm just going to put some light in here too from the light in the sky. There you go. I'm going to tease this away. I'm going to put a little bit of Indian yellow on its own. Try and keep it neat and tidy, and a little bit of the orange. And I'm going to turn the book upside down, the sketchbook, and I'm going to take my washes away from the area of here. I want to use this in the negative space. I want this lovely light to come all the way through this tree, and then way on across the sky here, and allow that to bleed away, quite a bit of water, and bleed away up into areas of the sky. Not all of it, just some of it, like so, and let that just come back and see where we're at. I think that works. As I said in the first part, that this painting really is about the evening light, and although I was going to make a little bit more of that and make it a little brighter, I actually think that it works in the for the reasons that I first looked at the painting. And that's often a good thing to think about, because when you are painting something, let's just get rid of that and lift that out. But when you find a photo that you really love, then it really is worth considering not changing too much, because obviously you can enhance something and make something always look a little bit better. I'm actually putting a little bit of violet ultramarine in, and a touch, just a touch of indigo, just to take it away from the pure blue or pure violet. And I want to come in with this nice cloudy, heavy cloud, which is threatening probably, I think, more snow to come in on the evening. I can't recall back when I painted it whether or not that was the case, but I'm just suggesting that there is this heavier cloud form that's occurring. Taking it away a little bit from there. I don't want it taking it into the edge of the paper, actually. Just allowing some of that to come back out and move on towards those branches. Just teasing the edges, really, the image. I do want to come in with a bit heavier colour. There's actually a little bit more depth to this cloud here because it's so solid. I want to address that. I put a little bit more of the same mix in, but this time we're going to add a little bit of vermilion into that mix, just to make it a little duller grey, and let it come in through the tree here, and maybe up a little bit. When this dries out a bit more, I might just put a little bit more into that and suggest a few other shapes. I don't want to go too mad with this. I don't want this to look too painterly. This is only at the end of the day a sketch. I'm going to tease that off into that light as it's getting towards that sun. And the sun is over here somewhere, so I'm just going to allow some of this light, and actually I want to put some of this in through here to suggest that it's representing that cloud, like so. Pretty colours, and I don't need to worry too much about this shape. It has blended with the paint underneath, and that I'm not too worried about. The paper is still damp enough to play around with. I'm going to take that right the way off the edge, like so. And I don't mind all these little cauliflowers that are setting up, because at the end of the day it's merely a sketch and having a little bit of fun with the watercolour and of course the ink. Bring that through there. A nice idea. I like that. And if that bothers me, and it is a little, gotta say, just putting a little bit more colour in and just take that right the way off while the paper's still wet, and allow some of that to re-wet, as it were, and lose some of its worrying aspects. Tap a little bit more colour into some of this too. That's not so bad, quite like that. I'm going to actually deepen this one down in here as well. Right, there's not much of a big painting. It doesn't take a lot to do this one. And now I want to clean out the yellow. I don't want to dip into that at all. I don't want to dip into this one. So I'm just going to come out of it, and I'm going to put in some ultramarine, purely some ultramarine at the moment. I'm going to look at it, and I don't want it to be too strong, but I will actually put a little bit of red in. That is way too much red. So let's just come back, and that's not bad, but I want to make a weaker solution. So the one way to make a weaker solution is just to use more water with the pigment. And I want to suggest this is all sort of in shade and in shadow. It's late in the day, but I do want to come in with just a touch of that orange actually, or maybe even a bit of yellow in the orange. I don't want much at all. It's not in the photo, but I just feel I want to put a bit of a lovely glow through some of these areas here, like that, just to touch on that sort of look from the sun setting. Now I don't think I should put any in here. I'm just going to actually make this a little richer as it goes away, like that. I don't think I'm going to put any more in. I don't think it really needs too much. So I'm going to come back in, and now I'm going to change that blue. Actually, I feel that I want to put some cobalt into this. So I'm going to go cobalt blue and a bit of the ultramarine blue, and I'm just going to run that all the way through the rest of this painting. It's a very, very simple painting to make, because at the end of the day I actually add a little bit more ultramarine into that. Bearing in mind, of course, that the paint will dry up a lot lighter than that I put in. So be aware of that. But you're going to leave this to dry off now. And I think that's just a pretty little painting. I'm going to come back in a few minutes when this is dried. Okay, that's done. And I'm going to put a bit of indigo mix now to what I have been doing. A bit more blue, a bit more indigo. Not too strong. And just taking off the excess, and I want to put in just one or two areas that are even in more sort of shady areas than I first put in, and it just adds a little bit more depth to some of the snow. Some of this snow here is in shadow, but it's getting a lot more light from it than the lower stuff right down here on the water's edge. So I just want to get that and suggest that deeper value. There's a little bit of light on this side, so I'm not actually going to do that on here. What I will do though is to suggest more depth and shadow over here, and maybe a little bit on the edge of where that is, just to suggest it a little bit more. Gives it a bit more depth to that. I want to put a bit of green in, so I'm going to put a bit of lemon, just a little bit with that blue, and just mix that in with some of this and tap it away into some of these areas here. I don't want to do too much because the ink pen is doing most of that work, so I don't want to overdo it, and I don't want to mess up the effect that that's happened with. So that's fine, I'm quite happy with that. And the last part, I think, pretty much, I mean, this is just suggested, this tree. You could do a whole lot more if you wanted to sketch the tree and be a lot more definite with the shape and the form. I was just scratching around and doodling, and I'm quite happy with that effect. But I want to put in quite a bit of a greeny, dirty colour reflection in here. It's quite dark in the water, up to that reflection of the tree. And I wanted to put that in because that really does work. I'm going to put a little bit of red colour. I don't know why, but I just want to suggest a little lighter, warmer colour through there. And then go back in with this definite, it's indigo and a touch of lemon, a bit more indigo, and just really deepen this area off. And it's sort of, there's very little light getting down into this part, and I think there's just a little suggestion across some of these areas here. So I want to put in, actually I do see quite a bit of green up into here, and I'm going to put that in. It goes round there, and then not a lot more really. Very much a dangerous situation where you can start to mess up by overdoing things. So I'm just going to put in 1 or 2 taps of green, and then just a suggested area through here. Don't go over your snow, don't mess up your edge. Almost dry brush going in here, but it's just enough to break up the edge of that reflection on the tree and suggest 1 or 2 marks in this water. And if you feel that they are just a little too sharp, then just dab them off with a little bit of water, damp brush, and just take some of the effect of it away until you're happy. And I don't think it really needs any more. I think it's a very pleasant. The light's going down, you can see that. There's a lovely glow to the sky, there's enough cloud, and you've got no definition in these distant shrubs because the lack of light, and of course they're silhouetted against the bright sky. Enough coming in to suggest that there is a nice light in the river, and it goes away to this darkened area around the back here, a little bit more red, a bit more of the indigo, giving it a stronger violet colour if I wish to, and just tap that in there and let that play around. Do I need it? Probably not, but I did. So I either have to go back in and put some of that green effect back in, because I think that was probably more important than putting the red in. And although that's quite strong now, and it is, got to admit, but it will lighten up. And you can just, if you're not sure, just take a little bit back out, damp brush, just lift areas out so that you've got all these multitudes of shapes and forms in that river there. And as that dries up, they will set up and be done. So hey guys, that ended up a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be quite honest. And I've enjoyed painting it, and I'm sure you've got something from it. And another doodle wasn't so much of a chat really, was it? A little bit about Christmas, and now Christmas, I suppose, by the time you watch this will be over for most, and we're heading into the new year and 2020. So although I have wished everybody a happy Christmas on last week's video, I will just take this opportunity again, and I haven't been drinking yet. I will take this opportunity again to wish each and every one of you a fantastic Christmas time and a happy one, but above all, a very safe one. And may you all look forward to a stunkingly art-filled 2020 to come, and your New Year's festivities are fantastic and excel your expectations. Again, happily and safely. And yeah, I'll see each and every one of you in next Friday's video, and I don't know what it's going to be yet. I've not got through Christmas yet. So anyway, I'm going to carry on. I'm enjoying filming little bits for you, and if you've enjoyed this, do me a big favor, click that like button and share this video with your friends. That is so welcome, and I thank you so much. And if you want more full-time videos, more narration, more input from me, brush by brush and all the rest of it, then nip on over to my Patreon channel. I know I keep saying about it, but it is very young and it is got a long way to go, but there is content being added all the time. It doesn't cost a lot to get involved with it, and it helps support me to make more videos for you, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on Patreon. And your input and your support is going to be so welcome moving forward in this coming year. And on that note, I keep saying it, but if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing to the channel, especially if you like the content that I'm putting out. If you like the work that I do, if you like my paintings and you like the content, then subscribe to my channel. It really does help me grow the channel, and that's something that I'm working on week in, week out, is to really build the channel and to give you, the viewers, or my subscribers, friends, associates, whoever you are sitting out there watching this, giving you more content and something more to get involved with, to learn from and enjoy. So whether you're a subscriber on YouTube or whether you're on a patron on my Patreon channel, please keep supporting the channel. I thank each and every one of you who are there right now, subscribers, my recent ones as well as my other ones, older ones, and all my patrons. I just want to say a big thank you and wish you all a happy new year. So I'll catch you all next Friday, whichever comes first. This Friday, next Friday, or New Year. Enjoy. Bye-bye for now.